Hi, I'm Mr. Grayland. I'm an art teacher here at Jordan Middle School in Palo Alto, California. And today I'm going to show you how to begin to lay out and create your Op Art portfolio folder. The Op Art portfolio folder is a project we do in Art 1A here at Jordan. The students create a folder that they can keep their work in, and they create a design of their own making. Their name in block letters, all the same size. And some students choose decorative designs. Some students choose more challenging three-dimensional optical illusions. The main idea here is that you're creating your name woven into a black and white design. That's an optical illusion of sorts. The design is up to you. The tools that you will need to do the Op Art portfolio cover include a letter packet handout from your teacher, a 12-inch ruler, a number 2 pencil, and a meter stick. Now your teacher will also give you a large piece of tag board that's 24 by 36 inches. The very first thing you're going to do is to fold that to create a folder that is 18 by 24 inches. 18 inches this way, 24 inches across. And your orientation for your folder, which way it opens, which way your name is oriented on the cover of the folder, is entirely up to you. When you get the letter packet handout, you'll notice that most of the letters are 3 blocks wide. 1, 2, 3. There are a few that are a little bit different. M, Q, and W. M is 4 blocks wide. Q is 3.5 blocks wide. And W is 5 blocks wide. All of the letters are 5 blocks high. Each block on this grid will equal 1 inch on the folder cover. So in order to figure out how to lay out our name evenly and precisely on the folder cover, we have to figure out how wide it's going to be and how high it's going to be. Now everyone's name is going to be 5 inches high, but your name width will vary depending upon what your name is. Incidentally, if your name is bigger than 24 inches, you're going to have to perhaps do your initials or a nickname or something that will fit. So in order to figure out how wide to make the name, we need to do what we call doing the math on our name. So I'm going to just scribble my name lightly here, and we notice it's 1, 2, 3, 4 letters. That's 3 inches per letter. That equals 12 inches. But I need another inch in between each letter. That's a total of 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. So 12 plus 3 equals 15. That means my name will be 15 inches wide from the outside edge of the P to the outside of the L. Now, in order to figure out how to get a 15-inch wide box to put our name in on the folder cover, the easiest and fastest way to do this is to do a very simple process where we measure the width of the box, and we notice that it's 24 inches. We're going to take, for my name, it's 15 inches wide. We're going to subtract 15 from the 24. And the remaining amount we're going to split exactly in half so that we have an even amount here and an even amount here. So 24 minus 15 is 9. 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. So if I make a mark at 4.5 inches here, and then I add 15 inches to that, because that's how wide my name is, I'm going to come to 19.5. This automatically makes this space 4.5 inches. So depending upon how wide your name is, your measurements may be a little bit different. For me, it's 4.5 plus the 15 inches of my name and 19.5. Now I'm going to make a mark here, and I'm also going to make a mark up here and up here. And what happens then is that I have a mark here, and I can use those marks to connect the outside of my box. So I'm going to very carefully again lay this out at 4.5 and 19.5. And then I'm going to use my meter stick, and I'm going to very lightly connect these two. Remember, all the lines you do in pencil on the folder cover should be pretty light because you're eventually going to erase all of them. Don't use your pencil too heavily. and there's a line there. Now, everyone's letters are 5 inches high. So we have to figure out how to get a 5-inch high box into this space. This is 18 inches. So if we subtract the 5 inches from that and then split the remainder in half to get an even amount here and here, we'll be all set. So 18 inches minus 5 is 13. 13 divided by 2 is 6.5. So again, if I take my meter stick and I line it up at the top and I make a mark at 6.5, and then I'm going to add 5 inches to that because that's how high my box is, and that's going to give me 11.5. 6.5 and 11.5. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. 6.5 and 11.5. Now I have marks here and here and here and here that I can use to connect to make the top and bottom lines of my box. Again, lightly with my pencil because I'm going to eventually erase this. Once I have these lines done, I have a box that's 15 inches wide and 5 inches high to put my name in. The next step is to create a 1-inch grid on this box so that I have a grid that's 15 inches wide and 5 inches high with 1-inch blocks. That's going to allow me to go back to my handout and look very carefully at how letters are laid out and do them very precisely on my grid. So the best and easiest way to do that is to take my meter stick and very carefully, without moving it, make a light mark at 1 inch, every inch, all the way along the bottom, and again at every inch all the way along the top. I'm going to make these marks all the way along here, all the way along here, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the end. I'm going to make marks every inch here, and I'm going to make marks every inch here. That way I have marks to connect all of my lines to make a very precise and even grid. What you can't do is put your ruler on here and start to guess. You have to measure this out and make marks on the top and the bottom to create an even grid. When the time comes to decide on an actual design for your portfolio cover, you can make one up out of your own imagination if you want to, and your teacher will also have a wide variety of resources for you to look at to come up with a design if you need some help and some pointers and some ideas. Now, there's also an archive online of former student projects, and here's a couple that have names embedded into them already that you can use if you want to use a design that you find in a resource somewhere. However, if you wish to create your own design, which I encourage you to do, then you're going to make a sketch in your sketchbook that shows roughly how that's going to work. Now you'll notice here I've done this by hand. I haven't used a ruler to lay any of this out. I've done this relatively quickly so that I just have an idea of what it's going to look like. And you'll also notice that I've enclosed this in a box on the folder cover so that my design is confined to a box that's a little bigger than my name. You can do that if you want to, or you can use the entire folder cover to do your design if you wish. That's up to you. Now you'll notice also that what I've done here is to just kind of hash mark in where the black areas will be and where the light areas will be so that I can keep track of that. The underlying principle here is that you're using a design that alternates between black and white. So it's stripes or circles or something where the design goes black, white, black, white, black, white. Wherever the letter is on a particular part of the design, the letter will be the opposite. So in this case, you'll notice that the stripes are black, white, black, white. So this is a black stripe, this is a white stripe. So where the letter P intrudes on this stripe, it's going to be black. This next stripe is a black stripe, so where the letter P is on that stripe, it will be white. Notice that this area here is still black because that's behind the letter P. This is a white stripe, so the P in that area will be black, and so on and so forth. Now you'll also notice that down here I've done concentric circles. And when I transfer this design to my folder cover, which I did here, I did it very, very carefully and very precisely. I measured from here up to here and from here to here and made marks to make an even box all the way around my name. And then I very carefully, with my pencil, made freehand graceful curves to create these stripes. And I've also labeled lightly BW, BW to help myself keep track of which areas are going to be black and which areas are going to be white. Now when I get to the circle over here, I used another tool that we have here in the art classroom, a very simple safety compass. You can decide where the center of the circle is going to be and mark that point. And then if you put the little circle at the center of the compass right on that and hold it, you can then choose a hole to put your pencil in, and the compass will spin and you can make a new circle by using your pencil that way. Now, I urge students not to make very, very tiny lines in between each other, because that can get really super complicated, and try to keep things a little bit bigger. But if you feel like you want to take on a really complex and difficult measurement project, and that's the kind of thing you really like to do, then I say go for it. So I'm going to continue with my lettering here and my labeling to make sure that I'm keeping track of where things are and what's going to be black and what's going to be white. My next step from here will be to draw this design in Sharpie, and we'll actually get started here so that we can see what I'm talking about. I'm going to be very graceful, or as graceful as I can with these lines, and I'm going to go right through my name, because remember, my name is sort of woven into this design. So that's a start. Once I get the entire design Sharpied, then it's time for me to take a big black magic marker and start to fill in all of the areas where there's going to be black. Now, this is why the labeling is really important, so that I can keep track of what's what. And I need to mark and label everything before I begin with this, so that I'm sure that I'm being precise. Take care as you finish your work to be precise and accurate with your markers and your Sharpies, and you should be able to come up with a really good product. If you have time after you finish your folder cover, you can do another version of your name on the back of your folder. Enjoy.